Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it is your first time. I'm SimmerJC. You can call me Jordan if you didn't already know. I am a streamer over on twitch.tv. We play mostly The Sims 4 and some Stardew Valley on Sundays, and we occasionally mix it up with some different simulation games. But today we are back in The Sims 4 doing a super fun speed build, as you can see. I am titling Stuck in the 70s. I like to push myself kind of out of my comfort zone and do something like this every once in a while. That just isn't really what I normally do. You know, we all have a build style that we tend to fall back on that's just kind of comfortable for us. For me, it's building suburban homes that have a more modern interior. And I tend to kind of stay with that and have a hard time breaking away from it. So I wanted to do something for this speed build that was just a little bit further away from what I normally do, and this house is definitely that. I had a lot of fun doing it though. As you can tell, this is a A-frame style house, or based off of an old A-frame style house, with a nice little bump out on the end just to add some more space inside. A-frames are fun to build. I have done A-frames before in The Sims, not exactly like this, but something similar to this, and they're just hard because there's not a whole lot of space. You run out of space really quickly. So I wanted to do the bump out to just give it a little more usable space overall in the build, because I knew that even though this house looks massive, it's not going to be very big at all. It actually ends up being only one bedroom and two baths, actually. There's a downstairs bathroom and an upstairs bathroom, and there's a tiny laundry room that you have access to from the outside of the build, which could potentially act as a third bathroom if for some reason you wanted one. Two bathrooms seems like plenty to me for this build, but you know, it's all your prerogative. But yeah, this build is only a one-bedroom build. So it is definitely not a family home. You could easily add on to it to make it a family home, but just with the type of style I was looking for in this house, I didn't want to make it too much bigger than it already was, because it already just looked massive. I had a hard time with that side room there. You'll see it again later. You know, obviously we'll spend a lot of time in there furnishing and doing the walls, but you can see where the roof trim is kind of cutting in, and I could not figure out why. I spent a lot of time, even like off the recording, trying to figure out why it was doing that, because I know if you have a room that's not really a room, it'll do that, but for some reason it was doing that with this room, even though it's categorized as a room. It has a roof, maybe I guess because there's not walls there, I don't know, but I couldn't get those spots to go away. I cover one up with a closet that we put in there, and the other one I put some stuff in front of it. Like, it's still very visible, especially because of the wallpaper that I chose, but I just kind of, the longer I looked at it, the less I noticed it, I guess. Like, my eyes just kind of adjusted to it. I got used to it. But if you're wondering, yes, don't worry, it bugged me a lot, and I apologize if it bugs you to look at it too. But this nice little room here on the side, you'll see as we furnish it a little bit later too, is just like a nice little living room nook. I wanted to do that sunken spot there for the fireplace, and I'm gonna add a TV in there later too. But that's just a very like typical thing that you see in, you know, more mid-century modern houses and that 70s style building, where they have like sunken living rooms, or sometimes they would have like sunken in dining rooms, you know, things like that, just areas of the house that have that level change. And even though we love how glitchy the platforms are in The Sims, I thought it would be the perfect little addition to this build, and I actually really like how it came out. I found myself with this build kind of cringing a lot, because as you'll see, I mean, most of the build is green. That green carpet is just, it's just not good. But I, you know, just really kind of wanted to keep to, I guess, probably the stereotypes. I'm sure not all 70s homes looked like this. You know, that I'm sure they didn't. But I wanted to just kind of keep to, I guess, what I always imagine when I think of 70s homes. You know, lots of colors, lots of, I don't even know, you know, just lots of color, lots of pattern. And so that's why we keep this green theme and a lot of paneling on the walls, a lot of brick on the walls. That's what I was seeing a lot when I was doing some reference image looking, or reference image searching, I guess, before I started building this house. And even during the building process, I was constantly going back to Google and looking up references for 70s style kitchens, 70s style dining rooms, 70s style art, you know, things like that, so I could try and just work off the inspiration of it and keep as true to it as possible without just making it absolutely horrendous. Because trust me, if you want to just cry at an interior design, look up 70s style bathrooms. It's not good. I promise. I really liked this bookcase from Snowyscape, I believe, but I didn't like a lot of the decor that was on it. It just wasn't going to fit with the more 70s theme that we were going for. So that's why you see I pulled out my OMSP shelf again. I use it all the time in builds. I use it in the last speed build too, actually, where I can just place stuff exactly where I want it and kind of cover up some of the other decorations. I also wanted it, you know, just to be facing this way instead. I felt like it looked better, but then of course that means everything is backwards. So, you know, the books up top there are backwards, but I don't think it's very noticeable. But everything else, all the things that I placed, obviously are facing the correct way. But if you haven't heard me talk about that OMSP shelf before, or if you don't know what it is, I will have it linked down below. Even if you don't use CC or mods in your game, you need it. You need the shelf in your game because it is just so handy and it's so useful. And as long as you delete it when you're done, your game is not, like your build is not marked as using CC if you decide to upload it to the gallery. This build will be on the gallery and it is CC free, even though I use that shelf to place items, because once you delete it, it's gone, but it helps you get item placement that you wouldn't be able to get just by using the 9 and the 0 keys. You know, it helps out a lot with that. It's kind of similar to Tool. You'll see I use Tool for the TV later to get the right sizing, where you can use it to change the scale of items. You can do all types of customization like that, and it doesn't really mess up anything as far as like marking your game as CC. So you can still put it on the gallery and people can still download it, and there's no CC items. It still shows up, you know, it doesn't get tagged as CC. So it's really nice in that aspect. It is one of those items that I just can't play the game without, because I've gotten so used to just the freedom of being able to put items exactly where I want them that it feels weird not having it if I don't have it in game. So the last time I built an A-frame house was actually right after we got the tiny living pack. I wanted to do a house that counted as a small home or a tiny home or a micro home, you know, one of those, without actually sticking to the requirements for it, this size-wise. And so I remember doing a even smaller than this, just plain A-frame, no bump out, but I put doors and archways going into the roofing pieces and then made them glass roofs so you could see through. And I would make, like, I think one of them was an office and one of them was a bedroom, and it was a fun build to do. It sucked to play in, which is the only issue when you do builds like that, is they're just so incredibly difficult to play in because everything is so glitchy, but they are a lot of fun to make. So this house, I actually had some major glitching issues with as well. I, you know, tried to make it as smooth as possible, but when we get upstairs and get done with the bathroom and move on to the bedroom, you'll see a little bit of like a jump cut, because I wanted to use a Murphy bed from Tiny Living, because Murphy beds were pretty popular in the 70s, and I thought it would just be perfect for this build. You know, maybe some of the things on it were a little more modern than what you would have typically seen, but you know, I could let it slide. I just felt like the Murphy bed was absolutely necessary. And when I started trying to place the Murphy bed, my whole game basically just crashed. Like, I would place the Murphy bed and as soon as I let go of it, it would just disappear. But if I tried to press the back button, like, it just acted as if I'd never placed the Murphy bed. But if I exited out of build mode and went into live mode, because at this point I had a sim on the lot. I didn't end up putting a sim on the lot later when I came back to fix it. But I had a sim on the lot, so I would exit build mode and the bed would reappear, but just not in the place where I put it. So I tried to exit out of the lot completely and come back in, and that just broke the entire game. I sat on the loading screen for almost 30 minutes and finally just gave up and had to force quit and lost everything that I had done since my last save, which is, you know, so much fun. So when you see the screenshots at the end of the video here, you know, things will look slightly different. For the most part, I did exactly the same thing. I just went back in and redid everything that I had done. But some of the things like the bookcase above that record player downstairs just look a little bit different, because when I went back to do it a second time, I found a different way to do it that I liked a little bit better. So yeah, that's why the final product does not look the same. It's not like here, it's actually once I furnished the bathroom. When I moved to the bedroom is where the jump cut is. I tried to make it as not noticeable as possible, but oh boy, that was frustrating. I luckily didn't have any issues with it when I came back in later, so I don't know what really was causing it. I don't think it was a mod conflict or a CC conflict. All of my stuff is updated, so maybe it was just a weird glitch in the game for some reason, but it just like broke the entire build after that. But I'm still really happy with how this like whole upstairs area turns out. The bedroom is pretty cute. A little unconventional, definitely not something that I would normally go for. It's got like a little TV upstairs. It kind of just looks more like a second living room instead of a bedroom because of the Murphy bed. But it's cozy and it's cute and I like it. It's a lot of fun. You can see here I used it downstairs, but I use it, or actually I don't think I use it with this TV, but I use it downstairs. I use Tool to fix the TV so that instead of, because when you size up the TV using the brackets, it's too big and it's like cutting into the wall, so I used the Tool mod and just did 1.5 scale instead of 2, which is what you would get if you bracketed up, and it just fits so much better. I should have mentioned that earlier, but I just thought about it when I saw this TV up here. I am still getting used to the Tool mod. I am still pretty new to it and I am in love with it. It is so nice. It is so handy. We've been working on a build on stream. We're doing this cute little cozy cottage, work on it every Friday, and it is just a lot of fun. We use the Tool mod a lot outside. We built this cute little like lean-to up against the house that we have like a log underneath, and it's just so much easier to customize things, especially once you get to know and understand Tool. Like, it takes a while to get used to Tool and just have the controls work, but once you get it figured out, it is such an amazing like asset to have in game. I almost said tool to have in game, but that just makes it confusing. I'm really happy with how the backyard came out too. I kept it kind of simple with just a nice little like pool deck area, I guess you would call it, a table, some lounge chairs, and of course those cute little plots you kind of saw me make that mimic the ones behind the lot, with the palm trees, the cute little lights in them. They look so nice at night. I don't have any screenshots of this house at nighttime, but those lights just light up the area so nicely. And I add a little plot like that in the front of the house as well, and forgot to add the lights while I was recording, but I believe they are there in the screenshots, and they're definitely there in the build that I uploaded to the gallery. But yeah, we are coming up on the end here. We're gonna have some screenshots. If you guys enjoyed this, be sure to check it out on the gallery. I'll have my gallery ID below, and I had a lot of fun building it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you guys. Bye.